It's time to stop throwing your cookies away and start blaming big tech for the mess they've created. Listen up, and I'm going to tell you how you can take back control of your data. First-party cookies have been deemed essential by Google, meaning they're safe for the 63% of internet users who use the Chrome browser. However, third-party cookies are already disabled by most major browsers and app platforms by default. So it's safe to say that cookies have been divided into a good versus bad narrative, like the rebels versus the empire, or me versus my old school cousin Jeffrey who's stuck in the 20th century. Hey there, it's Jeffrey, Jeff's older and wiser cousin, and I have news for you. Your privacy is overrated. You see, I've spent the last 40 years in the advertising industry, and here's what I've learned. You can't really get ahead of somebody if you can't go through their medicine closet. You don't really know what's in somebody's dirty laundry unless you go through their laundry basket. See, that's what I did to get ahead in the advertising world. I invaded people's privacy because I wanted to know them. I wanted them to buy my stuff because my duty was to deliver profits to shareholders. What's your duty? Now you think that everything's nice. You think it's privacy. You're all going to play nicely in the sandbox. Well, guess what? You can't get ahead if you don't make money for companies. You can't get ahead if you don't make the profits. So focus on the profits. That's all that matters. Like any argument on the internet, it's not that simple. There are 3 vocal movements against third-party cookies, and they create quite a compelling argument against ever using them again. Movement number 1, users are taking privacy into their own hands. It all started with passwords. For 15 years, we felt so invincible on the internet that we used passwords like ABC123 or our family's dog name all in lowercase. And for most of us, moving to strong passwords still is a huge annoyance and it's not appreciated at all. It wasn't just consumers either. It was the entire internet who didn't care about security. Most websites, they weren't secure unless they took credit cards. Many companies, they would publicly display private data on the internet assuming that people like hackers and bots could never find it. It wasn't until data breaches became a weekly occurrence that internet security was slowly forced upon the average Jeffs of the world. Why do they make passwords so hard to remember anyway? I remember back in the day when my password was simply that, the word password. Suddenly, our parents improved their passwords to include their dog's name with a capital letter and the age and dog years at the end. And when a perfectly targeted remarketing ad showed up after we had a private conversation with a friend, we started taking our browser and app privacy seriously, as well as deleting apps off our phone or turning off our camera access because we got sick of it. And that led to movement number 2, which is government regulation. As we started to notice how Facebook used our private conversations to sell anything from home fitness equipment to low-carb spaghetti, the government took notice as well. Laws were turned into acronyms like GDPR and CCPA, and tech companies were put on notice. You know what? I loved all the emails that I received from companies who value my privacy. I felt so important. Like when people wish me a happy birthday on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the best social network out there. If only they could make a social network out of privacy policy update emails. Consider me customer numero uno. You already lived through the 14,197 we value your privacy emails back in 2018, so I won't waste any more time here explaining how this change affected us. These privacy laws, while poorly executed in many ways, were well-intentioned to hold big tech companies accountable for the data they had been collecting frivolously. And then something crazy happened. The biggest tech platforms began to take user privacy seriously as well. Apple to the rescue. Movement number 3, platforms for privacy. If you've ever felt powerless against big tech platforms, imagine being the government. While they warned about fines for privacy violations, it wasn't until Apple obliterated third-party cookies that ad platforms began to notice what they did wrong. It's safe to assume, then, that privacy has won the internet, right? Well, the reality is quite different from the narrative. Even though Facebook stock took a nosedive after reporting its Q4 earnings, things are not as bad as it seems. People need to stop picking on Facebook. Zuckerberg is innocent. Sure, he created Facebook to stalk girls and broke tons of laws, but he didn't get a fair shake in that movie Social Network. Also, people need to stop calling him a robot. And Sweet Baby Ray's, that is the best barbecue sauce that money can buy. Speaking of buying, I don't regret buying Facebook at all and losing 40% of my money overnight. Meta for life. Naturally, you'd assume, like me, that their business was suffering due to Apple's privacy rollout. Their stock performance means they started losing money the minute the change went live, right? Wrong. They are making more money than ever. So much money. In the same Q4 that caused Facebook stock to drop by 50% year to date, Meta grew revenue by $5.5 billion. And for the year, they grew revenue by $32 billion and profit by $17 billion. So if you ask me, big tech is doing just fine in spite of these changes, even as they take out full-page ads in the New York Times to say otherwise. And I'm going to leave you with this. Stop waiting on big tech to help you. I came to an unexpected conclusion as I went down the rabbit hole of cookies, privacy, and data collection. Big tech isn't going to help you move forward no matter where you stand today. But I like big technology. I feel so safe knowing that all of my information is stored in the cloud and that all my stuff is on a device that's going to go obsolete right away. And I want somebody to sell me subscriptions and audiobooks. That's what I want. These are my only friends at this point. They're the only people I believe in is the big companies. You need to take control of your company's marketing data if you want your marketing to be effective moving forward. Big tech only cares about providing profits to their shareholders. They aren't concerned about the average company's diminishing returns on ad spend. The only way to move forward is by moving away from third-party data collection and moving to first-party. You can do this by implementing server-side tagging on your website and collecting data right from the source, away from prying eyes. Going server-side with your tagging provides you with more control over how data is collected, what data is shared outside of your organization, and it protects your users' privacy by eliminating the middleman. But server-side tagging is not for everyone. That's why I've created a 5-question quiz and a training video to let you determine if server-side is right for you. You can take the quiz by downloading this printable PDF at ddu.ai/server.